Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds, and I'm here with Keith, co-star of my upcoming film, If, only in theaters May 17th. Do you want to tell people the big news? All right, I'll do it. Sign up now and you'll get unlimited for $15 a month and 6 months of Paramount Plus Essential Plan on us. Mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 equivalent to $15 per month. Unlimited over 40 gigabytes per month. Face lower speeds. Videos at 480p. Active Mint customers by 531.24 get 6 months of Paramount Plus Essential Plan. Auto renews after 6 months. Offer ends May 31st, 2024. Separate Paramount Plus registration required. Terms and conditions apply if rated PG.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to Peak Northwest, an outdoors and travel podcast by the Oregonian and Oregon Live, dedicated to the adventure and exploration of our beautiful Pacific Northwest. I'm Jamie Hale.
And I'm Vicki Connor. Together, we take you to some of the most beautiful and interesting destinations in our region, discussing where to go, what to do, and places to see. And today, we're gearing up for summer with a few ideas about where you can spend a sunny day away from home.
Yeah, Vicki, I love to dream up big vacations as much as the next person, whether it's like planning a cross-country road trip or international adventure, but I am also a huge proponent of the local day trip, a good opportunity to get away from home without spending too much time or money.
Exactly. And this year, I planned my international trip in the spring so that I had plenty of time to maximize these sunny summer days and get into all of our favorite places to go.
Well, Vicki, I know this is literally opposite of what we're talking about, but please tell us where you went on your international trip.
So my partner and I spent a week in Japan, spent our time between Tokyo and Kyoto. And this was my first trip to Asia, first trip to Japan. And it was incredible. This is the furthest travel I've ever done. And we ate our way through Tokyo and Kyoto and did plenty of tourist activities, temples, lots of sightseeing, and a really cool boat trip down a river too.
I saw some videos of you all eating on the river, like a boat pulled up to your boat and served you food.
Yes, this was this river trip that we did in Kyoto, and it was a point-to-point boat trip. First off, we had people navigating this like huge wooden boat through these rocks, and at the very end, another boat pulled up. This was the snack boat. Did a 180, pulled up right next to us. They were like grilling octopus. They had drinks and chips, and you just hand them your money, and you're still traveling down the river, like you're not stagnant. And it was one of the cooler experiences during my time there.
Wow, so cool, so fun, so dreamy. I would love to get to Japan one of these days, but today's not about dreaming about Japan.
No.
It is about staying close to home. Again, the very opposite. So I think there's so many good places in Oregon to take a day trip. As we're talking about day trip, I'm talking about like not an overnighter. You leave in the morning, you get back to your own bed at night. So these are places that are just, a comfortable drive away from home. And when we talk about home, we're going to be talking about Portland because that's where we live and that's where a lot of people live. So apologies to folks who don't live in Portland. But we've got a good roundup of day trip ideas specifically for when it is nice outside in summertime, all kind of within, I'd say, 2.5 hours, give or take, from Portland.
Yeah. So where do we get started on our list?
I want to start with, I think, one of is probably the most popular day trip destinations, or really the most popular destinations in this part of Oregon, which is Cannon Beach. But specifically, I want to talk about Cannon Beach by bus. So we've done an episode about this before. We had Lizzie Acker come on and talk about her trip with her daughter Nona out to Cannon Beach and her parents. After I heard that, I was inspired. I had to do it as well. So Sadie and I took a trip out to Cannon Beach by bus, just a day trip, not an overnighter. We got the bus in the morning from Union Station, downtown Portland, out to Cannon Beach, spent the day there, caught the evening bus back home, and got back into our own bed by nighttime. This is like such a good way to do it, I think.
How crowded was the bus when you took it?
Not at all. Like really, really not at all. And this was, I believe it was a Saturday that we took the bus. I believe it was like sort of early summer, late spring last year. It wasn't like peak season, but it was like a little off. But the bus, it doesn't get that crowded because everyone drives to Cannon Beach. As you can tell, if you ever drive through Cannon Beach on a summer day and you can't find a single place to park in town, you know that that's what people do. But if Cannon Beach is your sole destination, if you just want to go to town, get something to eat, go hang out on the beach, check out town, bus, it's perfectly good. It takes you right into the main part of Cannon Beach. You can walk just, a couple blocks to the beach from the bus stop. You can walk, along the beach or through town to like all the restaurants, do all this stuff. And you just don't have to worry about finding parking, and you don't have to worry about paying for a hotel or staying there overnight. So this is like just such a clutch way to go, I think.
Did you bring a whole lot with you on the bus, or were you just packing light?
We brought a couple of bags, just enough to like snacks and, our stuff, but like we didn't have to like pack a suitcase or anything. It's just like a day bag, basically, a little towel to lay on the beach, and some things to eat and some water. That's about it, So it was super easy. And I think people like to have their own car on the beach because they like to have the freedom to move up and down the coast. And if you're on vacation, I get that. I like doing that too. But I felt like the limitations of being on the bus, they were nice to me. And they felt like a certain freedom to not worry about things. Because I've spent a lot of time stressing about parking in Cannon Beach, and it was really nice to not do that.
If they have a bus that's dog friendly, I would use it more often.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm usually going to the beach with Stella, having her run around. But Jamie, what if you had to choose one place to eat in Cannon Beach, where would it be?
Oh boy. That's quite, I guess I usually go to Ecola Seafood. It's casual. They do a good fish and chip. They do, good sort of casual seafood. They've got some good indoor seating and outdoor seating. I like that about it. It's not too overpriced. That's sort of the knock on Cannon Beach restaurants is they charge you Cannon Beach prices. Like I love the Pelican Brewing that's in town. I don't love the prices they charge for things. I get it. It makes sense to me, but I like to go to somewhere a little bit more casual, a little bit more affordable. So Ecola is usually my go-to spot.
I think my spot, again, since I usually have Stella with me, I like a little quick option, and even better if it's a walk-up window. So Crepe Neptune, I really like the smoked salmon crepe there. Super tasty. And then I can eat it with one hand while having Stella's leash in the other and be on our merry way. Of course, got to get if I'm extra hungry, actually not even extra hungry, normal amount of hungry, I'm getting the strawberry Nutella one, maybe a la mode as well.
I've never been to Crepe Neptune, but I've seen people walk down the street with it. And I'm always like, God, I gotta check that place out.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
I guess since we're talking about Cannon Beach food, real quick, I will shout out also Sleepy Monk Coffee, which is excellent. It's, great coffee, great vibes. It's one of my favorite coffee shops on the coast. I think it probably is my hands down favorite coffee shop on the coast. It's right next to the bus stop also. So you can get off the bus, go to Sleepy Monk, walk to the beach.
Oh, there
Easy.
You go.
Love it. And also Kiki's Tacos, which is like, it's not the best reviewed place in town. And but I do like their tacos, and they have really good outdoor seating. It's kind of like a tucked away in a little garden back there. And I do like that about it. But again, a lot of places to eat in Cannon Beach. That's what you do there.
Anything else about Cannon Beach? I know we could have we've talked plenty about Cannon Beach on this podcast before.
Yeah, for sure. So go back and listen to Cannon Beach episodes if you want to hear more. But we should move on to another day trip destination. And I'll bring one out here that I did just recently, actually, which is Breitenbush Hot Springs.
If I remember correctly, did you go for Sadie's birthday to Breitenbush?
We did. Yeah. Sadie said, that's what she wanted to do on her birthday. So we both took the day off. We convinced 3 friends of ours to also take the day off, which is great. We went on a Thursday and drove down there. It's about a 2.5 hour drive to get there from Portland. But like, it's a beautiful drive through the woods, past Detroit Lake, up there into the mountains a little bit. And you can get a day pass at Breitenbush. I want to say it's only like $35 or so. You can pay a little extra. It's like an extra $10 or $11 for lunch. And the lunch is very, very good. It's like a buffet style lunch, but like the best buffet I've ever had.
Seriously, yeah.
They had like, when we went there that day, it was like a baked potato bar and also chili, which sounds like, when you just hear those words like that, I'm like, ugh. But it was like so good. And I didn't even do the baked potato. I just got like the chili and like all these, like, it's all vegetarian. So you get like these tempeh, some sort of baked tempeh situation, and like some sort of like cashew sauce and just all this stuff, and put it into a big bowl together. And it was like so healthy and nourishing and filling.
Yeah.
And you spent the day soaking in all the tubs.
Yep. The time that Nicole and I went, we got it was like a taco bar type of buffet lunch, and we timed our arrival pretty perfectly, because we like checked in, like walked in, got settled, and then immediately someone started ringing the lunch bell, and I was like, oh okay. And so we were like first in line to get our food. And it was so tasty. Vegetarian. Went back for seconds after everyone else had gotten their food. Mm-hmm. They had like homemade lemonade or some type of like juice drink that was so good, so refreshing. And then set us up for a great time soaking with full bellies.
The drinks there are like underpraised, I feel like. That.
Yeah.
I mean, we had like something that was just called like spiced apple. Is all it said. And I thought it was gonna be like a hot apple cider, because it was sort of like a gray and rainy day, but it was cool. But it was really, really good. It was like it's like homemade spiced apple cider. When we stayed overnight there, we had a thing called it was lavender milk tea.
Ugh.
And it was perfect. It was perfect. Oh my God.
They know how to cook. They know how to make food and drink there for sure.
Yeah. I love how much our talks about the trips revolve around food and drink.
Yeah. Sorry, y'all.
But the soaking pools, obviously, at Breitenbush are incredible. It should be noted, it's a clothing optional place, so be prepared for that when you go. Mm-hmm. Bring your robe, bring your sandals. And just, it was a little drizzly when we went there, a little kind of misty and drizzly. So sitting in the pools, just with the rain on your head and dripping into the water was like so dreamy. Oh my gosh.
Wow. I love that. Also, yeah, bringing the robe is a hot tip. You got to. It's the way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I love doing the cold plunges here too. Super fun. It's like such a close proximity to go between like one of the hottest tubs there and then dunk yourself into freezing water. So that's super fun. I have to ask Jamie, last time I was there, it looked like there were still these like bathtub individual soaking pools that they were still under construction. Were those open when you went?
Yeah, those are open now.
Awesome.
There's no like reservation required. It's just open for people to use. It takes a little while for them to fill. So just be prepared to be patient for that. But like, it's a cool opportunity to sit in a tub and just let it fill around you. And that, which is a nice thing to do, get progressively warmer. So those are open now. A lot of overnight options if you want to do an overnight there. It's really good. I believe the day pass allows you to be there, I want to say from 9 to 6, kind of like in that main part of the day. And you're allowed, if you're staying there overnight, you can get breakfast and dinner as well. But for the daytime guests, you can buy just the pass for lunch. So that's the one trick I think of doing this as a day trip, is timing that second meal. When we went, we just like brought snacks for the car and then made it home and ate dinner when we got home. But like, there's definitely some places to stop and eat on the way. For a car full of vegetarians, there were not many places to stop on the way. It's a lot of burger places, barbecue, that kind of thing. Yeah. So if you're into that, some perfectly good burger spots on the way back from Breitenbush. But Feels a little weird to eat like this really healthy vegetarian nourishing meal than eat like a cheeseburger. No
It's
knock.
about balance.
Sure.
But yeah, Breitenbush. Now you're making me want to make a reservation for sometime. I would say in June before it gets like too hot, so you can still enjoy like the hot soaking tubs. But yeah, gosh, such a great day trip.
So the next one on our list here is more of like an outdoorsy day trip. Doesn't have to be, but it is sort of more of that. Tillamook State Forest. So Vicky, you've been out there, haven't you?
I actually haven't, Jamie. I have not been to Tillamook State Forest, or maybe I have to do like a very short trail a long time ago, but nothing is coming to mind actually that I've done.
So this is the forested area that's alongside Oregon Route 6, which goes essentially from like, Forest Grove area out to Tillamook. It's known for the Wilson River Trail. The Wilson River follows along the highway there.
Yes.
And we've done episodes on that before. Check them out in the archives for more information. But it's this long distance hiking trail with a lot of trailheads. So it's not like you have to go to one end and hike all the way to the other end. There's like a bunch of short day hikes of various destinations and difficulties you can do along the Wilson River Trail at any of those points. And they're all gorgeous. People know about Kings Mountain and Elk Mountain, of course, as being two of like the hardest, steepest hikes in this part of the state. Honestly, they're really killers. You can do the Kings Mountain, Elk Mountain loop if you want like a really, really, really challenging day hike. So there's like that opportunity. There's some mountain biking opportunities, but then just like there's a couple of like nice little picnic areas along the Wilson River, just in the trees there. So, I mean, I've seen people go out there just to have a picnic, just to like get a little time by the water. The Tillamook Forest Center is now reopened, and that's like a classic field trip destination. It's got like a little museum that talks to you about forestry and the ecosystem. There's a big like fire lookout tower you can climb to the top of and get some views over the forest. And there's, again, some really good access to the Wilson River and to the trails. So a great spot if you're just looking to get out into the woods, especially if you live on that side of town, on the west side of Portland, like in Hillsborough, Beaverton. It's a really nice little quick jaunt up there to the state forest to do any of those things.
Especially on a hot summer's day, just like completely having that tree canopy over you, walk along the river sounds super lovely.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. These long days, you can really spend some time out there. If you want to do the whole Wilson River Trail, you can do that. It's pretty long, but you can really do a lot of day hiking if you want to do that kind of experience.
For sure. What's the last hike that you did out there, Jamie?
I guess I did the entirety of the Wilson River Trail in chunks. So it was one of those chunks that I did out there. I don't remember which one I did last. But there's, you know what? There's one chunk that I went to separately after that, just I think on a day off I had. There's a part if you park at the Kings Mountain trailhead, and instead of going up to Kings Mountain, you turn left on the Wilson River Trail. It kind of goes up onto these rocky plateau areas overlooking the forest. Like I found this like boulder just kind of jutting out of the forest overlooking this canyon. I just sat there for a while, just like soaking in the forest and taking a rest, and then hiked my way back down. So I feel like people park at that trailhead and go to Kings Mountain, most of them. So if you're able to get a spot there and you want to go on the Wilson River Trail instead, you're going to find far fewer people. Like I don't know that I saw a single person out there when I did it last. So you can really get away on this trail.
Love that. All right, moving along with our list here, gotta mention Hood River Fruit Loop.
I mean, incredible stuff. We did this together a couple years ago. So, I mean, that was your first time on the Fruit Loop, right?
That was my first time. Yeah.
It was both of our first times in the Fruit Loop, I believe. Yep. What were your impressions?
This is a great day trip, but like you're not going to see it all in a day. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to pack in every single stop on the Fruit Loop and give enough attention and love to each spot too, and spend some time there. But I was overwhelmed by the amount of activities, and I think we even went like towards the later end of the Fruit Loops like main season. But I thought the lavender field was super cool. I loved all the different food spots and like bakeries. There's just so much of an abundance of things to do here.
Yeah, I believe we went on like the first day of fall. Sounds right, or
Okay.
it was in It was in September.
Yeah. So we were trying to do like apple picking, and there was
hmm
a pumpkin patch too.
There were still strawberries out there. There's so much. Were there any places in particular that stood out to you?
Jamie, can you remember the name of the pizza place we went to that was on a farm? A winery, I think, as well.
Yeah, it was the Mount View Orchards, is what it was.
I love that pizza.
hmm Yeah, it was like a wood fired pizza with pear and blue cheese, like fresh from their orchard pears.
Gosh.
That's right. We went to go visit Carlos the steer, the
Yeah, that was.
mascot. Underwhelming mascot. No shade to Carlos, but
He was just chilling.
he was not there to put on a show.
No, no. What stood out to you at the Fruit Loop?
I remember the lavender farm was really nice. But also the where we did apple picking at Draper Girls Farm.
Yes.
Um, Great apple picking, very fun. They instructed us on the proper way to do it. It was like way harder than I thought it was going to be. It seems like so easy, but there's a proper way to do it, and it seemed complicated. But they had just a great fruit stand. I remember there was like 8 kinds of pluots, and I love a pluot. So I got a ton of those. We just like loaded up. The trunk was like full of like flowers and fruit and baked goods. So by the time we got home, it was just like this bounty of stuff. So like
Yes.
that's the nice thing about this. You go to the Fruit Loop and it's a nice drive. It's a great experience. And like you can load up on produce
Mm-hmm.
for relatively cheap as well. You know, it's not going to, Whole Foods or something. You can get a lot of apples and a lot of other kinds of stuff for very fair prices.
Exactly. I'd love to go back and do the Fruit Loop counterclockwise and hit some of those spots on the latter end of the way that we did it that did not get to see. But another pro tip is that, not even pro tip, maybe just common sense, is that it gets really crowded on the weekends, like crazy crowded. After I did the Fruit Loop with you, Jamie, Nick's sister was in town, and she's like, "Oh, I saw like your video clips from this. Like, I'd love to go as well." So we went. Of course, it was a weekend. So crowded. I think it was also just like a super hot day too, and we were just like frying in the sun. Wear your sunscreen, hydrate, and if you can make it on a weekday, towards the end of the week, I think that might be your best bet.
It's great tip. And I'm curious too about the seasons and how that might affect crowds as well. It felt like we were kind of in an in-between season. We went, I don't know, it was like the very beginning of apples and pears. Like I'd be curious to go check it out more earlier in the summer when you have the berries,
Yeah.
a lot more of those you pick opportunities, or later in the fall when there's, more squash or that kind of stuff. So I'm so curious to see this in different phases.
Exactly, exactly. So maybe getting out there sooner rather than later this year.
We've got one more day trip destination we want to touch on today. And this is one of my favorites. As a little controversial here because it's not in Oregon. I was going to say technically, but it's really not in Oregon at all. Mount St. Helens up in Washington, in Southwest Washington. This was like when I was growing up, when we had visitors coming in from out of town. We lived in Vancouver. We would always go to Mount St. Helens. And because this was like, the early 90s. So, I mean, it had blown up not that long ago. And there's a lot of interest in Mount St. Helens, but like it was a great drive, beautiful views. We were always going up to St. Helens. And I still love this as a good day trip destination, but I do feel like I'm not going to get too much of a soapbox here about it right now. Maybe later. I do feel like this is a spot that people overlook in Portland as a
Yeah,
place to go. It's not that far. We're talking about, again, like 2.5 to maybe 2.5 hours, maybe less than that even. It's certainly closer than Bend. It's closer than like going to Bandon or, it's like, going to Eugene, right? It's like, it's the same distance, but you have to cross the Columbia River to get there. So I think people overlook it for that reason, but especially on a weekend, there's not rush hour traffic like you'd have. Don't worry about that. And it's such a cool spot. So I know, Vicky, you've climbed St. Helens.
I've climbed St. Helens, but I really haven't spent a lot of time doing something else other than climbing St. Helens. So just going on a different hike in and around the area. But I would agree that, yes, it's definitely overlooked. Like, this is another great option if you're trying to do something, go for a hike that's not like going out to Mount Hood area. Why not Mount St. Helens?
Why not? Why not? There's a kind of a couple ways to go about Mount St. Helens. The south side of the mountain is sort of more the climbing side, like you've done, Vicky. The north side, you can do sort of the easier drive on the highway up to the Johnston Ridge Observatory. There's a really good and gripping museum there that talks about the eruption. And there's also some really great hikes you can do from there over to Harry's Ridge. You can go down across the Pumice Plains to the blast zone itself. Very cool stuff. We can do a whole episode about that. But Mount St. Helens, don't worry about crossing the river. It's very easy to do. You can just drive across a bridge. It's not a big deal. There's no one there to take your soul as toll to get over there. It's very easy. And it's just, again, a beautiful drive and a beautiful place and really interesting. I mean, to see a Cascade Mountain that has blown up so dramatically, so recently, it's the only one we have like that. So I mean, go there while you can and check it out.
I don't know about you, Jamie, but I'm getting really excited for summer after talking about this episode. Like, I feel like I'm still kind of like getting out of my winter rainy hole, and I'm just like, oh yeah, all this amazing stuff is right around the corner, and days to explore it that are filled with sunshine. Something to really look forward to. Can you tell that I have been really down in the dumps in the gray weather?
I feel you. It's like every time my body is excited about going out and hiking again, it like another rainstorm comes. Yeah. And I'm like, ugh. And I know it's fine to hike in the rain. I've done it a lot. I've talked about the joys of hiking in the rain, but still it's not the same. And the rain can feel a little bit oppressive. I think especially when we're reaching a point in time of year where it's like, you get those nice stretches of sun for a few days and you're like, okay, all right, here we go. That was probably the last big rain of the year. And then it's like a week later, it's just back. So I feel you, Vicky. I'm looking forward to getting out there a little bit more. Obviously there's so many other places to go on day trips. You just like pick a direction from Portland and, look in like a 2.5 hour radius and you can find all kinds of stuff. So, I like to play the game with people when they come in from out of town and we want to do a day trip. It's like, do you want to do the forest, the ocean, the desert, the river, the mountains? What do you want? What kind of it? Yeah, because we got that. And people never pick the desert, and which is a little farther, which is fair. But it's of those options, you've got so many places to go. So I think, day trips, like I said, it's a great way to go and explore without having to worry about planning a whole thing, especially if you don't have reservations for places already, or if you want a little last minute trip, just pick a direction and go find something new.
Hopefully, if you're listening, you can make it out to one of these places that we've just mentioned. I think we have another episode quite a bit back that has some more day trips if you need some additional inspiration for your summer itinerary. But I am looking forward to getting out in the sun. I haven't said it enough.
Same, Vicky. Well, folks, that will do it for us for today. Until next time, you can watch our videos on the Oregonians YouTube channel and view all of our travel and outdoors coverage on OregonLive.com/travel, as well as HereIsOregon.com.
Please leave us a rating or review if you enjoy the show. And if you want to support this podcast, as well as our local journalism, please consider a subscription to Oregon Live. You can find details at OregonLive.com/pod support. Also, if you're a fan of the show and you're interested in potentially sponsoring it, you can get in touch with our marketing people at advertise@oregonian.com. This episode of the show is produced by me, Vicki Connor, alongside Jamie Hale.
Stay safe and happy travels, everyone. Until next time, we leave you with this 10 seconds of Zen.